And again, I'm not saying you divulge all that on the first date, but I am
Sure.
saying you don't have to be picture perfect person in order for someone to fall in love with you. In fact, if someone falls in love with you based on this persona, not who you really are, then that's probably not going to build a long lasting relationship.
Hey, welcome to the Dating Detox Show. I'm Eric Wooten, and with me, as always, is Megan Toma, dating coach. And we are here to talk about some dating do's and don'ts. I think we
Yes.
assume everybody knows, but you and I have enough conversations with people that probably
Mhm.
cause us to cringe and go, "You did what?" So let's have a little discussion about what in the dating streets, what should we be doing and what should we be avoiding? I'm sure you got lots of
Yeah,
thoughts on that.
I do have lots, and they're not super well known or popular, it seems like. So I'm just going to talk about some really important ones that I've
Okay.
noticed. So the first one is a don't. I don't want you to opt out of dating because you just don't want to deal with it and you don't want to be bothered. Because so many people that come to me in my space, they want to find their partner, they want epic partnership and love, but they hate dating. They don't want
Mhm.
to deal with it. But the truth is, even if you've been hesitant for a while to kind of like dive into the dating pool, you might be making it a bigger deal than it needs to be, putting a lot of pressure on it, having all this like worry and anxiety around dating itself. And the truth is, it can just be a time to go have fun with someone new on a Tuesday and drink some rosé. Like it's not that big of a deal. So I don't want you to psych yourself out from just having fun and getting to meet new people.
I like that. And I'll
Yeah.
I'll put a do on that don't, right? The don't was
Yeah.
don't avoid it. The do is I would say get your numbers up. So there's
Yeah.
recently I was doing my dating detox class again, and the first week we were talking about that. Hey, you got to get your numbers up if you eventually want to find like one of the people on there hadn't dated and seriously in more than a decade, and so we
Wow.
started out with that, like, okay, well then we got to get our numbers up, and what by numbers I mean potential people who could turn into a dating partner, which means
Mm,
we probably got to be bumping into people, right? And so when I asked
yeah.
the question, okay, so how many potential dates or potential people that might be able to turn into a date do you run into in the average week? And both of them
Yeah.
were like, zero. I
0.
said, well, then our chances of finding somebody is probably slim and none. So I agree with you. My do for that don't is get your numbers up and go do some stuff.
Never heard a man say, "Get your numbers up." I know what you're talking about, though. That's
Yeah,
great.
we're
Yes.
not talking about body count. We're talking about potential
Amazing.
interactions that could. So when you're standing in line at the grocery store, instead of being on your phone, look around, say hi to the person who's next to you, make small talk. You just never know when you're riding the train or the subway or in an airport,
Yeah.
or instead of having your headphones in and being closed off to the world, look around. So that's what I mean by
Yeah.
numbers, not
Okay.
not our sexual numbers.
Just clarifying. Cool.
Just to
Okay.
clarify.
So now okay, so now I have a do, and this one can be hard sometimes, but it's very possible. It's very doable. Do tell people how you feel. Stop. It's not about playing the cool girl anymore. It's not about playing it cool anymore. I really encourage, especially again, the women that I work with, to tell people how you feel. Use dating as a playground to state your boundaries and share your standards and a place to also open your heart. So it's like if you're ready for a committed relationship at some point soon, tell them that. If you're not sure you want kids one day, tell them that. If you think he looks great in that jacket, tell him that. Like just tell people how you really feel about them and how you really feel about what it is you want in this life at this time in your life. So That is
Yeah.
that is so
That's
important, I think.
that is good because what happens is, and I've had this happen in premarital counseling, is we're having a discussion and we're talking about certain things and a topic comes up, like kids came up one time,
Mhm.
and previously the person had said one of them doesn't want to have kids again. The female
Mhm.
was like, I'm not having kids again. I have a kid, they're almost grown, I'm not doing kids again. And the guy said, I'm cool with that early on. And then
Mhm.
later, when they're in like premarital counseling, he changed his tune a little. He's like, well, I would be open
Mhm.
to it. And she was like, oh, hold on here. I was clear from the jump. I am not
Yeah,
doing that. And you now saying I would be open to it is putting pressure on me that I told you I'm not interested. Where do we get here? So
yeah,
clearly in the beginning, so it's I guess two things are possible. One, he could have changed his tune. Like he could have back then really believed he didn't want to, and now is thinking it. But more likely, it was probably like, well, maybe she'll change her mind, or once we get to know each
mhm,
other, because we think that, right? We think even when
yep,
somebody tells us something, we think, well, they're saying that now, but I think once they really are into me, I think we could maybe adjust that. So
yep, yep.
please do
Doesn't
tell
work
them
like
how
that.
you feel. Please,
Yes.
please do tell them if you don't want kids. Please do tell them if you
Yeah.
do certain things, if you don't certain things. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so important, and it's a way to stop wasting time, and honestly a way to really guard and protect your heart more by not setting itself up to just be utterly heartbroken when you actually tell the truth, 6 months down the line or whatever it is, whenever it comes out.
Yeah.
Okay. My next don't, and it's very similar to no longer playing the cool girl role, is don't present your best self until you're in this long-term or committed relationship. Basically, I think it's the book The Rules, which I've only skimmed before because I can't be bothered with that. But the rules say, you want to, really like don't let him see any of, your vulnerable side or who you are to your core. Like you really just play it safe, play it cool, be the sweet, nice girl until, either you have a ring on your finger and you're in a committed relationship. And that makes me want to gag. I think it's it's a disservice to both people to wait to share your vulnerable desires, your fears, your needs. It's a recipe for a shallow relationship. And again, I'm not saying you divulge all that on the first date, but I am
Sure.
saying you don't have to be picture perfect person in order for someone to fall in love with you. In fact, if someone falls in love with you based on this persona, not who you really are, then that's probably not going to build a long lasting relationship because it's based in a false assessment and a false reality that you created. So you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to present your best self until you're in a committed relationship.
Yeah. And like you say, not only is it a disservice, but it's a setup for failure because
Yeah.
I don't know if I am willing or able to be in relationship with like your C game. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you only give me
Yeah.
your A game, I might be able to sustain a relationship with the A game you, because I don't know what C game you looks like. And so when that part of you comes out, it may actually be like I'm not able. I don't have the capacity to manage that
Yeah.
part of you. And you never told it to me. And so now here we are. And so the person
Yeah.
may be unwilling or unable to manage the not best parts of you, and that you're setting them and yourself up for failure if you never bring any of that. Again, we're not talking about the first date you lead with all your
Yeah.
crap, but yeah, you can't wait until months or however long down the road and be like,
Yeah.
voila, what about this? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
have
I'm going to add to
devastating
this one
anxiety
too.
and I can't ever, I can't drive, like what?
Where did this come from? No,
Yeah.
but something else that I do to almost manage expectation in a way. And I've done this throughout my dating life because let's say it's early on, maybe like a month or two in, and the man's like, I just, you're so amazing and you just seem so wonderful and da 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 da. And I will remind them, I will say, and you don't fully know me yet. I'm going to piss you off. I'm going to annoy you. I'm going to get under your skin. I'm going to have days where you're going to look at me and be like, what is going on with this woman? She makes no sense at all. Like there's a whole range to me just to remind people that because it's so easy to get caught up early on and you just think each other is freaking perfect and we're like
Sure.
walking on water. And it's like nobody's Jesus here. Nobody is perfect. Like you are going to see things. And I get really anxious around, when this happens, or I get really teary eyed every freaking movie I watch. I feel like I can feel it. I have a range to me. So, and our work is to really practice showing more of that earlier on. Again, not the first date, not the second or third date necessarily, but as you're starting to build a relationship with someone, show yourself.
We should start a new trend where women show up to their first date with no makeup. We should start a new trend just to see how
Yeah,
it goes.
just see.
I'm telling you, some ladies are magicians with the makeup, and I'm like,
Hear that.
yeah, makeup you and non-makeup you are not the
Hmm.
same person, please. So yeah,
Hmm.
some of
Hmm.
those like IG or TikTok videos where they take, you take a lady who's got like no
Yes,
teeth and super old, and she does this whole makeover,
those
and
are
you're like,
crazy.
that is deceitful right there. That is not fair.
We
All
have our
right,
trick.
I got a don't. So
Okay.
don't date just for marriage. We talk about
Mm,
this all the time in my dating class. The primary purpose of dating should not be marriage, period. Now I know this is where people are like, well, why would I date if I'm not going to marry them? I'm like, that may be an outcome, and that
mhm.
can be a secondary purpose of dating. But if that is your primary purpose, you have now turned dating into something it was never meant to be. There's all kinds of pressure now. You've
Sure.
got to know, could you marry them off the bat? You miss out on the chance, because dating can be, an opportunity to learn about yourself, an opportunity to learn about others. I would say unless you are a person who has been married, very happily married, and widowed, unless that's you do not yet know everything that you might need and want in a marriage because you haven't been there, or you've been in a marriage
Mhm.
that didn't work out. There may be qualities in a person that you don't even know exist, that when you find that on a date,
Yeah.
it may not be the person you marry, but you may now say, I need that quality in my marriage. So part of it is figuring out what you do and don't need, what you do and don't want, where you need to grow and change as a person, right? That's all part of it. Like you said, you know,
Yeah.
go have rosé on a Tuesday night with someone and hang out and listen to live music. You got to marry them. And so I think people who that is their sole goal. Again, I'm not saying we don't want to get there at some point, but if you're putting that pressure on the dating, you are missing out on opportunities to learn about yourself, learn about others, to serve people, leave people better than you found them. So
Mhm.
that's one of my don'ts.
Yeah, and you don't have to know super early on. If you're dating with I'm dating for marriage, you put so much invisible pressure not only on that person but on yourself to like somehow know on the first date or super early on, is this someone I can marry? But I do have a question here.
Yeah.
If we're not dating just for marriage, you're not necessarily suggesting, though, that what if I go on, let's say, a third or fourth date with someone and I know this is not the person for me? Do I keep dating them?
I mean, if you wanted to, you could. I would want to
Hmm.
be now. Again, this goes back to being honest and being clear. If
Yeah.
they are clearly into you and you're not into them, but you're pretending you are, even you know you're not, that's deceitful. That's not ethical. But if they're
Hmm.
just not interested in moving that place and enjoying time with you, and you're enjoying time with them, then again,
Yeah.
I don't I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as there's no like major deal breakers, because if there's major deal breakers and your intention is to eventually get into a relationship, Do you really see a point in dating someone where there's major deal breakers?
You probably wouldn't, but this goes
Yeah.
back to one of the I'll put this in the do category because we talked about this in other shows and we both agree do date multiple people. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
again, I'm saying if I'm not saying you have to, but I'm also not saying not a problem if you know this is not somebody I want to marry and they clearly don't want to marry you, but you guys enjoy some of the same things and you're building a friendship and you enjoy that and you're
Sure.
dating other people too, it's not a problem. If
Why
you're
not?
I only
Yep.
date one person at a time, then absolutely move on. That wouldn't make sense to
Right.
keep having moments with this person. So
Which brings me to my next do, which is very similar to what you just said. So my next do is give maximum effort so that men can find you. Give maximum effort to dating multiple people and give minimal effort to just one person until there is a decision to make a commitment. A lot
okay.
of us,
So let me
we,
I just want to clarify to make sure I understand what
yes,
you're saying. So you're saying put a lot of effort into like the dating process.
yes,
Go get out
putting
there,
yourself out there.
do some
Yes,
stuff, connect with people. If you're on an app, message people, go back and forth. So put a lot of effort into that and less effort into like I'm making this one the one until there's a full commitment there. Basically, don't like
yes.
fall hard fast, go all in with all effort on somebody you don't even know yet. Like, what are you doing? That's what you
There's
mean?
so many free wives out there. We're all free wives and girlfriends without a man ever asking us or us ever discussing us. Because what happens is we're already in the phase of dreading dating. We don't want to do it. We have all these preconceived notions and fears and doubts and worries and anxieties about it. Then we're like, all right, reluctantly, I'm going to get back into the dating world. Then we date, we meet, it's lackluster connections until there's this one guy. We meet this one person that just seems so perfect. And we stop talking to everyone else. We stop looking, we stop putting ourselves out there. The AirPods are back in at the grocery store. We're not smiling at the cute guy across at brunch at the restaurant. We aren't, we're living in our own little worlds because we have this one guy who's not even asked us for a commitment, who's not even said, will you please stop seeing other people because I really want to get to know you seriously. Just like I have feelings for you. This is going somewhere, you're a couple months in, whatever that looks like. We just, we're exclusive before it's even discussed. So we got to stop doing that. That is actually wasting our time because we're not even sure if this perfect person that we've decided him to be is anywhere close to what it is we really need in a relationship. We learn, as you said, so much about ourselves in dating multiple people. And I will tell you, to your point earlier as well, there have been times where I've been on dates with men that ended up not being someone I wanted to get into a relationship with, but they had qualities about them that I didn't know I needed
Yep.
until I met them.
Yeah.
It's it is crazy and it's so and I that is invaluable to me. I didn't know I needed that until it was presented in front of me. So,
Yeah,
yeah, what are your thoughts
absolutely.
on that?
Maybe a depth of intellectual conversation that you didn't know guy, especially when you have a type, right? And you're like, oh, I always
Yeah.
pick the whatever, bad boy or the
Yeah.
good looking muscly guy or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, and he doesn't have to try as hard in life because his looks come in the door
Mhm.
before he does. And so
Right.
when you date the short, early balding guy, he probably has to work on some of his emotional, relational, and intellectual
Mhm.
intelligence a little more. So yeah,
Yeah.
you will find qualities in somebody that may not be the person you end up with, but remind you that that is something, I really want somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. And I get so tired of this is where we struggle because we love cliches and sayings, right? So I hear this and I hear this often in the church context, to women, if you're looking for a husband, you need to be carrying yourself like a wife. You're carrying yourself
Mhm.
like a girlfriend. I'm just like, this is where going back to what you said, we start. I would say it this way: don't be giving wife assets and
Yes.
access to somebody who's not made a husband commitment, right? And so it's like, no, we're
Right.
not there. So why am I carry yourself like a wife? So then I'm gonna start bringing them lunch and making their lunch for them, and I'm gonna start. They weren't feeling
Oh,
well, and so instead of having their friends
no.
take care of, I'm the one that's gonna drop soup by, and and again, I'm talking like early in the relationship. Obviously, you dating
Yeah.
6, 7 months, you care about them, take care of them,
Sure.
but yeah, but it's those kind of sayings that carry yourself like a wife if you're looking for a husband. Be like, do not act like a wife to some dude who has not
Mhm.
made a husband commitment. What are we doing? So yeah,
No. Think about it. An actual wife has a ring on her finger. She has a commitment. So why are you going
right?
to give that for free? No way. No. Those are my
Yeah.
do's and don'ts. Those are the big ones that I feel like a lot of people don't often talk about. And I really
All
wanted to
right.
do this episode.
I got some more off the top of my head then. One
Okay.
is do, this is obvious, but do keep working on yourself. So I think a
Yes.
lot of people, this is it, in marriage. Here's what I believe about marriage. I believe that we have both a relational responsibility to our spouse. How do I care for them? What are their needs? How do we, and we also have a personal responsibility to our marriage, which is I've got to continue to stay healthy and whole. When there's areas of my life that get exposed, I've got to work on those. I've got to be committed to those. And I think a lot
Mhm.
of people will do some work and then they get focused on dating and they stop doing the personal work.
Yeah.
And you're just setting yourself up for failure again. So I think if you're dating and you've got personal work to do, keep doing, don't abandon the personal stuff that is important to you, that brings you life, that brings you healing, that helps you stay whole on behalf of the relationship. That becomes a mistake.
Yeah.
Which would then be like the flip side of that coin. The don't would be, don't use dating as a way to fill a void, either
Mm,
relationally, like I'm just lonely, I need companionship, or personally, I don't like this stuff about me, and when I'm with you, I don't feel the negative stuff I don't like about me. You
yeah.
are filling a void in me. I think if people do that, again, it's a setup for failure somewhere down the road.
Those go hand in hand. When if you notice yourself doing that, that is a alarm system going off and a big indicator that there's some part of you that has disconnected from your own personal journey and your own personal growth. And yeah, that's sort of like your own personal development health is at
Yeah.
risk. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really, really
ditch
good.
all that stuff. Well, those are some good do's
Ditch
and
it.
don'ts. Yeah.
I think so.
I think
Yeah.
you're ready to get back out in the game. Let's go. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's right. Good
No, that's
stuff.
good. Awesome. Well, that's all we got for you today. Again, if you've not downloaded your free Modern Daters Playbook, you'll see a link in the description area in the show notes, and we'll see you right back here next time.